Good. Sure.
Sure.
Ready?
That's right. What are we about to do?
What time of year is it?
It's egg time.
Egg time. So all the time getting asked about eggs and how I incubate them. So figured I'd give a short little display as to what I do. 6-quart locking tub, Sterilite. I prefer the ones with the purple just because I don't know what's purple mean.
Because it's purple. Purple means royal. Royal
Python. There
we go.
So what I do is just put a handful of cocoa in the bottom, wet it about that much, try to flatten it out. This is a light diffuser. Get these at Lowe's, Home Depot. Not sure who else has them, but
that's the things that the fluorescent lights in the ceilings.
Yep, fluorescent lights. They usually come in 4 foot, probably 3 foot by 4 foot panel. I'm not really sure. I actually take a jigsaw and just start one end and just cut all the way down it, and then I go back and cut the sides off to get it to the length I want.
Okay, I'm just wondering what that was.
So that's it. So that goes in there like that. There are 1 billion different ways to incubate eggs. However you've been doing it, it's probably fine if it's working. This just happens to be the way that I do it. I don't have to go out and buy a whole lot of extra stuff. I have cocoa already here. I have tubs already here. So the only thing I literally buy is press and seal, which we'll get to in a second. And Range is apparently not being happy at the moment. And light diffuser. The other thing is these keep 100% humidity. I never have a humidity problem whatsoever at all. None. So, of course, we live in Georgia, and what's humidity like down here, Craig?
It's like breathing soup.
So, humidity stays 100%. Light diffuser goes in on top of the cocoa. The great thing about using cocoa is, other than obviously I already have it, is even if the cocoa touches the egg, it still doesn't matter because cocoa is not going to hurt the egg. Now, there are people that say that the cocoa molds, blah, 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 whatever. I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ball pythons off this method and never had an issue with it at all. So, basically, the next step would be pull out your press and seal to the length of this, seal it up, put your lid on it, put all your information on top of it. In the incubator it goes. So we have 2 different incubators here. I'll go in here to the big one and grab another box. Alright, so this is actually a good clutch. This was a Cypress Cinnamon Yellow Belly to Fire Mojave. A young girl. She only gave us 5 eggs. But either way, this was ultimately what you would want it to look like. So the cocoa's in the bottom, the light diffuser's here, the eggs are sitting on there. Hey, guess what? The egg's touching the side of the tub.
He don't like that too much.
Apparently not.
He says you can't touch the eggs on the tub.
Either way, I've never had a problem with my eggs touching the side of the tub. So these are already halfway done incubating. Press and seal around the edge. Put your lid back on. Boom, back into the incubator. That's the bigger incubator. We have another incubator right here as well, and it's almost full. So, what else do we need to talk about? Incubator temperatures. incubator. This particular incubator is at 89 degrees at this moment. That one is at 89 degrees at this moment. I try to keep mine about 88. It's going to fluctuate. I actually had, about 3 years ago, actually had a incubator spike and go up to 92 degrees for at least a day, probably 2, maybe even 3 days before I actually noticed it, because we were out of town. And everything hatched fine.
What happens if it gets too hot?
A lot of people say that if the temperature spikes or goes up or drops too drastically or any other fluctuation in temperature, people say that the eggs can not incubate properly and cause kinking and shark jaw. What are some other things?
Bug eye?
No, not so much with bug-eyed. The eggs or the snake not forming correctly, basically.
Okay. So it just needs to stay at a
so they say
constant temperature, so to say.
I honestly don't know. I don't know. I know I've talked to a few other breeders, and myself personally, my incubator fluctuates anywhere from 87 to 90 degrees. We might have, out of 100 clutches a year, we might have 1, maybe 2 that come out that might have some issues with it, whether it's shark jawing or kinked. The odds of that might not even have anything to do with the incubator. I don't know. So that's that. So incubating time, pretty much 59 to 61 days at 88 to 89 is when ours hatch. We know several people that start hatching 52, 53, 54 days. We know people that sometimes it's 69, 70, 71, 72 days. It doesn't matter. However long it takes is very irrelevant to the health of the ball python. As long as you don't cook it too fast, there's really not going to be an issue, in my opinion. Another thing you want to make sure that you do is label these tubs. If you have a lot of eggs and a lot of tubs, it can get confusing really quick. So make sure that each group of eggs is labeled correctly, and in my opinion, you should get 1 egg box out at a time, open it, vent it once a week, put it back in the incubator and get another one. The reason for that is it's very easy to open this egg box up, open this egg box up, open this egg box up, talk about something, do something, whatever you're doing, lose track of time, grab this one, put it on here, grab this one, put it on here, then all of a sudden you got your tubs mixed up, and that can cause 2 problems. 1, you don't really know what you got when you hatch them. That's a problem, a big problem. 2, you don't know your dates anymore, so you might be getting close to hatching date and they might not even be halfway ready yet. So 1 egg box at a time. That's the easiest way to do it. You will not mess up anything, 1 at a time.
Thanks for watching our Daddy's channel. Make sure you subscribe.